Hello, students of the Book of Job. We are coming back to the book to chapter 3, and we continue with this text where Job is imagining that what would have happened if he died, if he came from his mother's womb and expired. And remember that he kind of imagined that he would be kind of like in a place of peace, like with kings who built ruins and so on. And he continues, it says he would be with those people, or, this is of course or, and let me read it in Hebrew again, o im sarim zahav lachem hamomalaim ba batehem kasef. So here he imagined that he would be with kings, and this of course means or with sarim. This is simply plural of sar, or with princes, zaham lahem, literally gold to them, basically with princes who have gold, or who had gold. And then ha memalaim, I put for you here just to help you understand that this is the verbal root malay, really, who means to be filled. And here simply we have a PL participle, basically the ones hamamalayim, the ones basically who are filled, and this is the subject, their houses. This is the word beit with the pronominal suffix third masculine plural. So beit becomes bateihem, their houses, kasef. So the ones basically their houses are filled with silver. Kasef, of course, it's kasef. And at the end of the word, because at the end of the sentence it has this pause, kasef becomes kasef. But basically, why am I not with the princes who have basically silver in their gold in their houses, and whose houses are being filled with silver? So why am I not with those people who fill their houses with silver? Probably most see it in the past. At one time they had gold. They don't have gold anymore, and they don't have houses full of silver anymore, but they had them in the past. So again, of course, when we have a participle, we do not know if it's past, present, or future, but the context suggests that in the past they had their houses filled with silver, and in the past they had lots of gold. And most notice translate like this, or with princes who had gold, who filled their houses, and again had gold, filled their houses. So that's the idea. This is how they were one day, but now they are in the realm of the dead, and they are there supposedly in peace and quiet. Or, and he continues, or why was I not like, so again or, and again continues, or Nephel, like Nephel, and we'll have to see what this means. Nephel Tamun. Tamun here, I didn't analyze it for you, but it's fairly easy. The verbal root is tet memnun, and this looks like a passive participle. Tamun, hidden. Taman means to hide. So something hidden. Lo echye. Why, again, it continues, the question mark continues before why was I not? Echye of course means I am or I will be, but here notice again the usage of imperfect, or at least what looks like an imperfect form with the past. Why was I not? Why was I not like, again, Nephel Tamun, like Nephel, and we'll see the Nephel means like a stillborn child, like a miscarriage. Notice a stillborn child. Notice other miscarriage, abortive child, basically like somebody who basically died in the womb. Why was I not like somebody who died in the womb, which is heathen? Why was I not heathen like that, like a stillborn child? Or like olalim, and here it's simply plural of infant, or like infants, lorau or. I didn't analyze this further, but you can probably figure out that this is the verb ra'a, and it's a kal. And notice again, imperfect and perfect in parallel, both with the meaning in the past. And again, this happens a lot in poetry, especially in the Book of Jokes. So why was I not like a stillborn child, heathen child? I was not lo echia. Again, translating past, and everybody translates past. I was not, I had not, notice I have been, or I should have been, the Septuagint, or like a miscarriage which is discarded. That's interesting, that I would not be, as infants that never saw the light, or put away like an abortive child, I should not have existed, some other translations. So it's interesting the way they're trying to make sense of this imperfect. But in any case, the idea is that why was I not in the past like this? Or like an infant who did not see the light, of course, or is light. So this is a question, and of course the word that I left untranslated is the word nephel. This is something you want to add to your vocabulary in your journal. So spend some time to add that, but because this word, as we shall see, nephel, appears only 3 times. So when you see a word like this who appears only 3 times, this is the word that you want to look at every occurrence because you have a better idea. You want to have a better idea of what it means. So notice here this dictionary gives us as a miscarriage. Again, some stillborn child, somebody basically who was never born, basically died in the mother's womb. So why was I not like that? And here I would look at all the occurrences. So notice, of course, we have Psalm 58 verse 9, and we have it here for you. So again, you might not understand every word, and it's some rare words, but if you look at the translation, let them be like the snail that dissolves into the slime. This is the first part. And then notice the word nephel. So like remains, likes continues in the next verse. So let me be like nephel eshet. This is surprising, but like it means like a stillborn child again, bal chazu. So this is actually very, very familiar to our verse, who did not see, but there we have ra'a, lo ra'u, or did not see the light. And here, notice, it's a different negation. This is usually the negation with the infinitive construct, but still, we are familiar with this negation, bal. And then the verb chaza, it's almost identical with ra, who did not see, but in that case, in the first case was did not see the light, or here did not see the sun. So again, it reinforces our understanding of nephel as somebody who is a stillborn child, basically somebody like a miscarriage. So that person didn't see the light, and this one didn't see the sun. So very, very similar expression if we look here. Now the other expression we have it is in Kohelet, or it's basically in Ecclesiastes 6:3. So again, because there are only 3 occurrences, I recommend that you look all of them. And again, you don't have to necessarily translate everything, but if you look at the English, if a man fathers 100 children and lives many years, so that the days of his years are many, but his soul is not satisfied with the life's good things, and also he has no burial, so we can pick it up here. And also, kavura, that's burial, lo hayata. So basically did not have a burial, lo to him. So also knows burial. So then it says amarti, and it's translated, I say, tov mimenu hanafel. Tov mimenu hanafel, good from him, good more than him. It's of course the comparative in Hebrew. Better is for him, I say that better off than he is hanafel. And again, here is nephel, but because it's in pause, it's nafel. So basically he says a stillborn child is better off than he. So again, this is actually a little bit familiar with the situation of Job. Notice a man who has 100 children, lives many years, so that the days of his age are many, but his soul is not satisfied with life's good things, and he has no burial. So here, of course, Saul was satisfied with life's good things, but because of the situation in which he is, he feels so bad that he feels that he would be better than a stillborn child. But notice again, these are the three times when we have this expression, nephel. So it's fairly clear that refers to a child which is never born, like a miscarriage. So in cases like this, where the word occurs 3, 4, 5 times, I think it's worth looking at every occurrence to basically understand better the meaning of the word, and also perhaps to also give it as an illustration as you teach or preach, to try to explain the word or the context to the people. Now the text continues in verse 3:17. Sham Resha'im Chadelu Roges V'Sham Yanuchu Yegiei Koach. Yegiei Koach. And here I just also highlighted for you some of the verbs Chadal and Nuach. Chadal means to cease. Nuach, we've seen again before, to come at rest, to be at rest, of course connected with the word Noach, to be at rest. And Yegiei is also a new word for us. But if we were to translate, we would say there, Reshaim. So these are the evil ones, the wicked ones. Chadalu, basically they ceased, or they cease. Notice some translate cease, some say, it's interesting what the Septuagint have. This is worth looking at. So I recommend you look at the Septuagint. Why are they translating have burnt out? Have burnt out. The fury of rage, and there the wearied in body are at rest. So the rest is the same, but this is unusual in the translation of the Septuagint, and it's not clear to me why they're doing that. But notice most translation, the wicked cease, or bustle no more. Fairly similar idea. But notice the Young Literal Translation have ceased. So the idea is that the wicked have ceased their roges. Now this is a word that is, I'm sure, new for everybody, and it's worth looking at. But notice again the translations: troubling, from raging. So from troubling, and again this is worth looking a little bit further. So let's look further at this word roges. We notice that it doesn't appear that many times. The one who's going wild. It's interesting. It's giving it to us here, to go wild with Reshaim. That is interesting. Or we have nervousness, agitation in Job 3:26. So they ceased from going wild would be here with Reshaim. So agitation, nervousness here of an individual. This is the suggestion, and this particular, or in other cases it means anger in Habakkuk 3:2. It's interesting, but I think the meaning is more to go wild. That's interesting, the Reshaim, to go wild. But really I think that the wicked cease from troubling, from raging, from being, I think, agitated. I think it's more the idea, from agitation. Even the wicked seems from troubling others and maybe raging and doing bad things. I think that's the meaning, best way to understand the meaning. And there, again, notice the parallel between a perfect and an imperfect, with no obvious change in the tense in English. And there, Yegiei Koach, here we would translate those who are exhausted of power. Those who are exhausted of power, or those who are weary. Notice the weary, those who are exhausted of power, literally, are at rest, to be at rest. So notice that Job imagines this place where a stillborn child would be, or somebody who's dead would be, as a place again of no more agitation, no more bustle. We can say no more rage. Even the wicked ones are not raging anymore, are not agitated, they're not troubling others probably anymore. And even those who are exhausted of their power are again at rest. And here again, one word that you might want to look at is yegiei. So to go back, however, to roges, I did look at the word yegiei. I cannot find it right now, but I look at the word yegiei, and it really, we have it right here. But before we get to this, I just want to go back to roges just to understand a little bit better, because the word, this word, uh, at least in the meaning with nervousness, agitation, not necessarily this one, appears again 3 times. Isaiah 14:13 and Job 14:1 and Job 3:26. This is actually more applies to Job 3:26, but according to this lexicon. But still, I think it's worth looking at as we try to understand the meaning of roges, because notice here it's in parallel with otsev, otsev. So that's why I put for you the word here, otsev. Otsev is the Lord, it's a word that means anxious toil or hardship. And it appears here in Isaiah. It appears here in Isaiah 14:3, and I put here Isaiah 14:3. Basically, the translation is one: the Lord has given you rest from your pain and turmoil and the hard service with which you were made to serve in Babylon. So we notice here the word turmoil, it's here. So again, the idea of rest, noach, and the idea of etzev, roges, here roges, meirageh, ragezeh, meiragezecha, umin avodah. See, we have all these pain, turmoil, and hard service. You have an idea a little bit better about what the word roges means, because it appears in connection with pain, with hard service, agitation. So probably that is a good meaning. And again, it does appear in Job 14:1, where it talks about men. Man who is born of woman is few of days and full of trouble. Notice, full of roges. So basically, every man goes through this roges, to this trouble, through this agitation. But if he would have died, there even the wicked would have ceased from this roges, from this agitation, from this troubling, from this wildness or rage, that is usually in life. So again, I think it's productive for you to look at the occurrences of roges. And here, of course, is disputed if this is different, then one is different than number two. I think that they're very, very similar. Perhaps you might want to look also to these other occurrences which you didn't look. Actually, why don't you do that as a homework? Why don't you look at these other occurrences, because it looks like all of them are in the book of Job. So Job 3:17. Why don't you take a look at 39:24 and 37:2? Here it appears with Zeus, with the horse. So you can understand why it's a horse who goes wild, or with the thunder. So that seems to be the idea of something going wild, the idea of something moving, again moving perhaps, and again the idea I think of agitation and going wild perhaps is a good translation here. So why was I not like that? Why wasn't I at rest? Why wasn't I in a place where I ceased from agitation and in movement, which is like a wild horse perhaps, or like the thunder? So this is the question that Job has, and continues in verse 18. Yachad asirim sha'nanu lo shamau kol nogesh. Yachad, here translating together, asirim, these are prisoners from the verb asar, asirim. It's like they're prisoners, shananu. So this is actually an unusual verb. The verb is the verb sha'an, but it's not your typical, it's sha'an, and it's a third masculine plural, but it's not a kal, it's not a pl. Most would translate this as a pilpel, and I didn't put it for you here, but I was going to put it, but I guess I skipped it. But why don't you go into a lexicon and look at sha'an, and notice that it's a pilpel. It's a pilpel, and it's not a problem in the translation, because most translators understand that the idea of being at ease or being at rest, they ceased again, they're at rest, Again, just a little bit of a different translation. The Septuagint has a little bit of a different translation. They have together ceased. They have ceased, and they take it together. They have ceased to hear, Shema, the voice of the exactor. And here we do have the exactor in a few places, and this is a rare word. Again, if you look it up, it's a word from the King James Version, which means somebody who basically is the one that sets taxes on you, basically the income tax man. So basically, don't worry about it. There's no income tax there. I guess that's the idea of Job. I think that he understands it's a nice place because there's no income tax. Nobody who's calling you to pay taxes. But the idea, I think it's better understood by the other translator. Nogesh is somebody who is oppressing you, oppressor, a taskmaster. The connection, again, this word appears, of course, in the context of the slavery in Egypt, where there were taskmasters over the people of Israel who were slaves. So again, people who oppress you, people who are overseeing you when you are doing some difficult job. But again, there together, the prisoners have ceased. I think this is better, or aratis actually. This is a better translation. Aratis together, or are at rest together, and they did not hear. They do not hear. They do not hear. Again, here are two perfects, but translate them more with the present tense in English. They do not hear the voice of the taskmaster. The voice of the taskmaster, which is trying to make you work harder. Perhaps he's with the whip behind you. So again, that's how Job imagines this place where the dead are, especially where the stillborn dead are, the people who have been miscarried. Clearly, his pain and his agony is so great that he sees death, especially death as a stillborn child, as a place of rest, as a place where there are no more taskmasters, as a place where even the prisoners are at ease together, yachad. So it's a place that is certainly a place of rest and ease for him. Now he continues in verse 19, and I will not spend too much time here because the only real new word is this word chofshi. Chofshi, I will read it chofshi, which means free. It's not a very common word, but it does appear in the Bible, free. But he continues to say small and great, katon v'gadol, the small and the great, sham. So there, we saw that there are these people, there, the wicked ceased, there, the ones who have no more power are at rest, and he continues with the there are the small and the great are there, who va'evet, who, here, the small and the great are there, and I guess we could translate he and the servant, chofshi me'adonav, who is free from his master. I mean, you could say his masters, but don't forget Adonai. It's usually used with the plural ending, so it's really one master, his master. So the small and the great are there. The servant is free from the master. Everybody seems to be free there. Everybody seems to be at ease, even the slave, even the servant. Even if you're small or great, it doesn't matter. For Job, the place where the people are dead, especially where the stillborn are dead, but not only the stillborn, even the wicked people, even the kings, even the princes who died. It seems like everybody's free there, and there seems to be like a democracy there, where it doesn't matter if you're small or great, if you're a prince or a king, everybody is free and everybody's at ease and at rest. And that's where he wants to be. And that is really an interesting view about afterlife. This is one of the questions that you want to ask yourself as you look at this chapter, is that the case? Is that the view that we have about afterlife in the rest of the Bible? Or is this an idealistic view about afterlife that Job has because he is such a pain and in agony? That's why he imagines the place afterlife in such a peaceful and democratic kind of way. Again, notice high and low are there, the slave is free of his master. Most translations are in agreement here, the fairly easy word. Again, chofshi, I would read it chofshi. It means somebody who's set free from slavery. And we have some occurrences. Notice here, Exodus, we mentioned Deuteronomy, Jeremiah, and of course Job here, Job 3:19. You might want to look at a few other places. Like notice this is exempt from tax, somebody who's free of tax, somebody who's free of violence. And it appears one more time in Job referring to the wild donkey, Job 39:5. So again, the idea of a donkey who's free because he's wild, he can do anything he wants. I might give you a little bit of a better understanding of the word. Somebody who's free. And then let's just end with verse 20. So I will end this lecture with verse 20, but please continue to finish the chapter. And again, try to analyze it like this. Check to see which verbs are important to put in your notes, some new words and things like that. But now he asked again the question, lama. The first lama is was in front of everything that followed, but now he asks again, why? Why? And I didn't put it for you in red because I hope you recognize it by now. This is of course the verb natan, Kali imperfect, third masculine singular. Why is given? Why is given le amel or? Why is given to the amel light? Again, we've seen this word already in this chapter, light. And life, le, I should have left this in black just to see the distinction, le marei nafesh. And marei nafesh, let me start with marei nafesh first. Marei nafesh, this is from the word mar, bitter. Bitter means somebody who's bitter. And then here's a masculine plural in construct, to the ones who are bitter in the soul. To the ones bitter in the soul. This is actually a very literal translation. So why is light given to the amel? Amel is translated to the one who is misery. And we saw it before. We saw it before in this chapter, amel, the one who is in misery. I think this is a good translation. The one who is in misery. Notice other translation, one who suffers, or a man of grief. So clearly somebody who is in a very difficult situation, somebody who's in misery, somebody who's in trouble. The Young Literal Translation, why giveth he to the miserable light? To the miserable, again, the one who is miserable, or who is in misery. Somebody who is very, very troubled, very vexed. And this is how Job sees himself, like one who is a male. Again, we looked at this word before, just you might want to review it. So why is light given to this man who is in misery, and to the ones who are bitter in soul, right? The ones who are in griefs, according to the Septuagint, bitter of heart, bitter in soul. Basically, their life is bitter. So why does God do that? This is a question that Job is asking himself, and a question that continues in verse 21, and then 22, 23, 24, and you might want to look until the end of the chapter. But I will stop here, and I will encourage that you continue with the translation. You have a few verses left, and try to again separate things, and see if you can find the verbal roots. See if you can the preposition. Like for example, just by looking at this briefly, you can see that here probably the verb machak. Here, of course, you probably recognize that we're dealing with preposition la plus the word mavet, death. And then this is, of course, the pronominal suffix nu on the the particle ein, right? And then notice this word chafar. I'm going to look up this particular verb chafar, to dig. It means to dig, and the pronominal suffix mi matmonim. And of course, you might want to look again. Notice you have the preposition min here, and the doubling of the next consonant. But it's basically min and the word matmonim, which is usually, again, associated with the verb that we've seen, taman. If you remember, we looked at the verb taman, to hide. So here is usually translated hidden treasure. But try again to look at your Hebrew. Try to figure out what the verbs are, what the verbal roots are, what are the prepositions, what are pronominal suffixes, and slowly translate the sentence. And of course, write down the new words, write down and try to analyze even further the words that are occurring maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and especially pay attention to the occurrence in the book of Job. So okay, so let's finish chapter 3 next time and focus on the theological issues after we translate it carefully and we understand the Hebrew. All right, see you next time. God bless you, and thank you for suffering together through the book of Job. Why does God give you light in this misery? I'm just kidding. I know you enjoy it. He gives you light so you can grow wiser and we can comfort others better in the future. Amen. God bless you.